You've explained that the cure to the big lie, the way out of this, is to tell the truth, as you said. And in part, that means being specific about it, telling the truth about what happened in this election, what the result was, the reality of this election result, and refusing to budge from that. I wonder how you also feel about the question of accountability. I am distressed today by the fact that I do feel like for the president thus far, this is a win for the people who committed these crimes in his name yesterday and committed this violence in his name. They walked away and are telling war stories and enjoying the fact that they did it. To what extent is prosecution, criminal prosecution of these kinds of acts, either helpful or hurtful to the long-term project that our country needs to engage in here?
Yeah, I think truth and accountability are both parts of this long-term project, and I think they work hand in hand. I mean, I've been thinking a lot about truth these last few days, and it seems to me that there's a larger lesson here, which is that you can't lie your way to freedom. If you indulge in the big lie, if you believe in the big lie, if you act on the basis of the big lie, you're not really free. You're the creature of someone else. And I think we have a problem in this country, which is that we've defined freedom as just doing the thing that you feel like doing and saying the thing you feel like saying, whether it's true or whether it's false. But when you take part in these big false stories, you're not actually free, right? You're not actually free. And one way for the truth to come home is for you to have to take account, is for you to have to accept responsibility. And it seems to me that as a very practical matter, we have to make sure that we're capable of prosecuting people who do things like trespass in state capitals or national capitals. These people might be seen as a mob, but they're also individuals who found themselves doing very specific things. And this is a matter of truth about what happened, but it's also a matter of very practically preventing this from escalating. There are, unfortunately, logical steps that follow from this. If you can get away with this, what's the next thing you're going to do? So it's very important, I think, that people not get away with this.
And I think that underscores a lot of the concern about the president remaining in office another 13 days, what he'll do with his presidential power in 13 days if he sees what happened yesterday as something that advanced him toward his final goals. Timothy Snyder, the author of On Tyranny, professor of history at Yale University. Sir, thank you for your time this evening, particularly the time given you where you are. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.